Hi, everyone. Welcome to ECE 228, Developing Learning Environments for this week. This week, we are in week 6, cruising right along with the semester. 2 assignments this week, Chapter 9 quiz, building block critique, both due next Wednesday, October 9th, 8 a.m. Chapter 9 quiz, we'll review Chapter 9 here today briefly, talking about building blocks. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. And then one assignment connected to this chapter, which is called the building block critique. There is a short video, about a 5-minute video here for you to watch, and children playing with blocks, and then answer these 3 questions as you are watching this video. Okay? Looking at specific examples in terms of areas of development that are being enhanced, what stage are they in, and then what other accessories could you add to enhance their play in this section, in this area, in this block building section. So 2 assignments this week for you to work on here in week 6. Please remember that October 21st will be the last day to turn in assignments for the first half of the semester. If you have missing assignments out, outstanding assignments out, they need to be completed by October 21st. That is in approximately 3 weeks. Okay. If you have questions, if you need help, if you don't understand something, you have to reach out to me. You have to be in contact with me. You have to let me know. I can help you. I'm here to support you in whatever way possible. So please do that if you need help with any of these previous assignments, quizzes. As for now, Chapter 9, developing blocks and building centers in your classroom. With the help of a child, blocks of wood come to life. Blocks become airports, empires, stadiums, skyscrapers, houses, castles, and condominiums. Okay, so open-ended materials can provide a variety, or as it says here, a multidisciplinary curriculum when children are able to use their imagination, and we are able to provide a framework for them to use the materials and develop a variety of skills at the same time. And so what kind of things do kids learn in a block center? This is one of the very popular centers in a early childhood classroom. Okay? So as we'll go through here, you'll notice that they'll develop math skills, literacy skills, science skills, social emotional skills, geography, art. Okay? There's all kinds of skills that children will learn in the block center. Math skills, strong relationship between spatial skills and mathematics. Okay, so the ability to manipulate and visualize shapes, is super important. Okay? Children who perform well in preschool block building take more math classes, higher standardized math test scores, better math grades in middle and high school than children who are less competent preschool block builders. That is a generalization. There is research with that, but that's not everybody. If a child doesn't do well in the block center in preschool, doesn't necessarily mean that they'll perform less well or not as well in math classes in middle and high school, but it does help. Children, spatial skills increase when they learn spatial language, right? Above, below, beside. Vocabulary is important in early childhood education. Us as instructors using the right terms with them helps them to grow and develop in terms of what they know, how they understand things, what they're able to do with things. And so using those terms is important, as well as terms in other skill areas. Children's ideas about shapes, while not always accurate, often will stabilize by age 6. Number sense or quantity is also another area where children develop appropriately or develop skills in the block section. Quantity or number sense may be as important to math development as phonemic awareness is to emergent literacy. So number sense is very, very important in mathematics. Okay? Classifying, serrating, separating, conversions in blocks and construction play relates to higher standardized achievement test scores. So you can see it as we go through here, the research is showing us that the play and block center and the use of vocabulary and terms is important for the development of their mathematical skills. Excuse me. Literacy skills also develop in the block center, right? Fine motor skills are developed in coordination for any writing. Authentic reasons to read and write if materials are available, so you can connect literacy books with your block center for children to read. Maybe you have a different theme or a topic that you're working on for that week. There's visual discrimination or changes within that block center as well. Oral language when developing cooperative structures and explaining an idea. So children working together, talking about what they're doing, why they're building this, why they want to do that. All those different components of literacy and oral language, very important. And then us as the teachers, able to share the appropriate vocabulary for children when they're, as we said in a couple of previous slides, doing things that are above or under or over. Very important component for literacy development. Cognitive skills or symbolic representation is another important skill. So children representing symbolically when they use one thing to represent something else. Example, a block represents a car. They're pretending that those blocks are something, okay? So it's helping them to incorporate symbolic representation of what they're playing and just to make that connection, increase their imagination. Symbolic representation is one of the most important achievements in preschool years. Okay? Science skills are also here. Again, thinking of science, sometimes we get lost in the experiment stage, right? Science is much more than experiments and things like that. So looking at properties of materials, the stability, the balance, the cause and effect, prediction, what will happen if we build a block too high, build blocks super high or wide, which one is going to fall over easier. So all kinds of science skills go into the building block area as well. Okay, so process, scientific content, prediction, cause and effect, all those are science skills. Social emotional skills are also developed here. A feeling of completion and competence to be able to build things and create things. Negotiation, interaction, and cooperation. You will see in the video for the assignment in terms of negotiating, working together, cooperating. All those components typically come into play in the block area because students need to learn to work together. There's obviously not enough blocks for every student to have enough to do what they want. So it's important that they learn how to share, work together, and communicate. Geography skills, building structures, maps as they build with blocks. And then art, block building is a form of transitionary art where they're changing things from one thing to another, a tall building, a short building, building a bridge, whatever that looks like, whatever that might be. Okay, so there are 7 stages in looking at block building: pre-building, rows and towers, bridging, enclosures, patterns, names of structures, early representation, and reproduction. All of those components are stages that children go through in terms of how they're able to build, their ability level, their understanding of using blocks in the block station. I think these kind of make sense, right? In terms of the building on the complexity of each of these different stages. As an instructor, what should you have in an effective block center, or what should it look like? Large enough to accommodate several children, and you got to have space for children to use those blocks to expand out. It shouldn't be super small. A semi-enclosed area to protect builder with a no builder zone near block shelves, so that children are not getting things knocked over, one either on accident or two on purpose by others that might be wanting to do that for whatever reason. So we have to enclose that a little bit. And stable building surface. If you have thick, lush carpet, that's probably not the best area to have the building block center because it's not as stable as some flat carpet or even like a hardwood tile linoleum floor. And then provides a place to save structures. If children are able to, say you're using like large Legos, for example, or things that connect together, in your block center? Where's the space that they can save it to start working on it again the next time? As in the majority of our centers, block storage or storage of materials should be on low open shelves that the students can get to, but also arrange them in a way that demonstrates mathematical relationship between the blocks, okay? Not haphazardly thrown together and put away, but putting them in an area where there's similar blocks of the same size or are in totes or shelves or whatever they might be, and then making sure children know and understand to put those back in the appropriate places, as that is part of their responsibility in centers, is putting the materials back in the correct places. Attractively displayed accessory materials based upon their interest. So you might have some books there, maybe you're talking about, I'm going to make this up, castles, for example, as a theme. Children are building castles. You can have books in there as well that show different types of castles, or that if they're able to read, that they can read about them. So students can see some different types of castles. Okay? Anti-bias materials that represent a variety of cultures and people with disabilities as well. Here you can see an example of a block center, not a large block center, but here they are covering buildings, I would guess, great buildings, architecture as well. You can see how they're organized in terms of patterns and sizes. They even have the markings. They have some tape here for the students to understand which blocks go where within the storage center. You should have open-ended materials, teacher or child created materials, and purchase materials to extend children's building opportunities. So things where children can create things on their own. Then also some materials that might be very specific in terms of things that they should do with them as they become a little bit more advanced in their understanding of how to use the blocks as they're playing. Motivational materials to provide ideas. So going back to the books that maybe you're talking about a subject, specific topic, they can see examples of what things look like in the community or in the region, in the world, etc. Writing materials is also a good option as well. Maybe kids want to write a story. Maybe they want to sketch out something they want to design or build or create. So having writing materials available is also important. So writing in the block center, what would that be? We kind of touched on this a little bit, but ownership of their building, putting their name on it, saving structures, blueprints, sketching things out, or maybe they created something, they want to copy it, they want to draw what it looks like, making props. There's lots of options or reasons why children would write in that block center. Okay? So can't forget that it's not always just necessarily just about the building component, as we talked a little bit ago, art, geography, literacy, science, etc. In there. So we can also facilitate the learning process through providing experiences, right? So we talk about bringing in guests, carpenters, people that build things would be a good person to come in, or people to come in and visit with kids, demonstrating some things that they do, taking field trips to different types of buildings that they can see, or shelters, things that are used. Here it talks about teepees, trailer houses, that's not even spelled right, etc. So just showing different structures, I think, is an important thing for kids to see, especially locally, and those that are connected with their background, their ethnicity, their culture as well. So getting to know your students would be an important, component in terms of things that you can include in the building center in your classroom. Okay? View structures on walks, talk about building features as you're walking around campus, as you're looking in your classroom and in your building, talking about different things that you notice in terms of structures within your building. Okay? Provide an hour, if possible, for in-depth block building activities, assisting children in the block area, rotating every 15 minutes, girls only block days, some different ideas and activities and things that you can do within those confines of your center time. Okay? So not just the block center, but a variety of centers. You should provide adequate time for children to really learn and dig in. It's not just playtime, but there should be structure in there for children to learn and develop all these skills that we've talked about, not just for the blocks, but other centers as well. Okay? The math, the literacy, the science, the art, the geography, etc. All of those are important when it comes to the centers that we're developing for your classroom. So photographing, sketching structures as children are building their structures and using them, taking pictures, drawing them out, and then displaying them, sending with parents, because some things will not be saved or cannot be saved. If you're using the big blocks, for example, and kids are building with those cannot be saved as easily as if kids are using like Legos or things that connect and a little bit more stable. Right? So acknowledge them, take pictures of them, sketch them. It's way easier to take pictures of them now with our phones and iPads and things that we should have in our classroom and be able to save them and use them for portfolios and sharing with our parents. Labeling structures with the builder's name, especially if it's something that they will keep and that can save, that does not have to be broken down right away. Encouraging children to reflect upon and discuss their structures. Ask them about it. Have other students ask them about it. Why did you build it that way? What were you thinking? Did you think of something different? And allow structures to remain standing until children are finished building, and encourage children to draw or write about their structures. This encourages literacy. Okay? So we might be talking about that, reflecting and discussing structures. So as you get them to discuss and reflect and talk about it, then get them to draw or write about their structures if they're at that level of writing yet. Okay? If not, then maybe we can write for them, or we can also record our conversation with them to share later with parents or family members to put into a portfolio for them. But the writing component, the reflection component is important, and really working with other children to realize, to understand, to not knock down other children's structures. Okay? It will be a tough process for some kids to not knock things down. That's the nature of some kids, is to knock things down or whatever. And sometimes it's by accident, sometimes it'll be on purpose, but that'll be something to work through and facilitate with your kids as well. Model, as teachers, modeling, interacting together to create a building, how you work together with somebody else to build that, right? Asking questions to help the child think more deeply, right? So all these things in terms of what we can ask kids in order to get them to understand, to think about what they're doing, to really go beyond that surface level of understanding, to develop the skills in science and math and literacy, et cetera. Help problem solve a building dilemma, make suggestions if kids appear stuck, and help to measure buildings, right? How many blocks do you need? How wide is it going to be? Do you need more? Do you need less, et cetera? Those are important things for us to facilitate with the children. Again, with our centers, this center, any other center, we don't just let the kids go and sit back, in our chair. We have to be engaged. We have to be facilitating with our students. So different challenges that we can include in here. How high can you build a tower? Create a map of the classroom with the blocks, set that out, create a city. How does someone go from one floor to the next, et cetera? So questions and things that we can do to facilitate block learning are important to get children to think differently. It's not just that they're doing the same thing over and over. We got to throw some questions in there to challenge them a little bit. So assessment, okay, we can also facilitate learning through assessment, assessing and making changes to the block and building areas as needed, right? So we see students struggling with some stuff, all students, majority of students, maybe we need to pull some stuff out and replace it with something different. Maybe maybe things are too easy. They need some more advanced, different pieces, smaller pieces, different sizes, whatever that might be. Then we're going to add to that as well. Or we might go in and ask some questions or challenge them to build something different with that. Whatever it is, we should be assessing, we should be observing, and we should be documenting what's happening with each individual child's learning, not just in the blocks area, but in the other centers as well. So we can facilitate learning through group block talks, pictures of buildings and talking about them. Again, information through guest speakers, new building materials, motivate building or extending learning by reading books. So talking about different structures, different buildings, different components in terms of what it looks like, how different it could be. So, but as a class, talking about that, okay? As a class, going through that, listening to students' reactions to their conversations, their thoughts about different and new things that we would be introducing to the class, okay? Make a plan for a block project. Maybe it might be 2, 3, or 4 students working together, right, on a project and getting them into groups. Photos and sketches of children's current blocks and design elements. Conduct a walkabout where the group examines each other's block structures, and facilitating a builder's circle where children can talk about their buildings, their design in small groups, kind of like a literature or writer's circle where they're talking about their writings or their thoughts with that. Problem solving building dilemmas, blocks to demonstrate and teach a lesson here, such as incline plane, naming blocks, angles, sides, points, etc. So again, a good math component. Using blocks for prediction to problem solve, how many it will take to cover a certain area, and discussing and analyzing block data. Okay, so again, math skills that seem to be maybe a bit more not difficult, but maybe advanced for preschool kids can definitely be broken down into simpler terms for our early childhood kids in terms of analyzing information, analyzing data, etc. Okay, so that is chapter 9, building block centers and developing them, super important in your classrooms. Chapter 9 quiz, building block critique, due this week, Wednesday, 8 a.m., October 9th. Please reach out if you have questions. As I said before, more than happy to help you. I hope you're doing okay. Let me know if you're not, and we will get you on the right track. Take care. See you next week.